Hi everyone, I'm Colleen Levin from Clair CPAs. I'm one of the principals here, and I'm joined and accompanied here today with Bill St. Clair, our managing partner. We are here today to hopefully give you some information that would be valuable for you as a new business owner, particularly in the franchise industry. Franchisee and franchisors, it's a marriage, it's a partnership. And if you want to become successful, you have to help one another. And that's what success means, right? And that's what we partner with. You want a team around you that knows the industry, who can guide you in every way, from the basic operations perspective to the long-term strategies from an exit strategy. What do I want to be in position when I'm thinking 5-10 years out? So with starting a new business, there's a lot of nuances that individuals need to consider. So from a startup perspective, we want to look at what's the best entity for me? What's my operating systems going to be set up under?
What we'd like to try to cover today is franchising and the knowledge that our firm has to bring to you to help you grow your business and make more money. We try to keep things simple in the fact that you want to learn and build a team around you of experts. We consider ourselves experts in the franchise industry, and many people have referred as business because we are deemed experts in this industry. Today, we'd like to try to cover the initial setup, entity structure, and formation of whether you're a franchisor or a franchisee. They both have different perspectives of how to look at it. Then we want to look at the operations and the overall growth going forward as you're operating and running your business. And lastly, we want to look at exit strategies and business succession, because these are the things that everybody goes into business to do, to try to take good care of their family, take good care of their employees, take good care of their clientele, and ultimately make a nice profit in doing so.
We are extremely honored and proud to be recognized as one of the top professional accounting firms in the franchise industry, as one of their number one suppliers. So thank you, franchisors, for voting for us. We are so honored with this. And we look forward to seeing you all out there with your new business and helping you become successful.
We started in 1986 in our formation, and we started in franchising probably in the late 80s.
Late 80s.
When we actually were doing West Coast Video. I learned West Coast Video back before we started the firm. And then Rita's Wood Ice, one of our very first franchisors that we took care of. Rita started their company because they were a franchise operation, though they didn't know it. They were running 4 stores at the time and had family members that ran each store. Then they wanted to open up a 5th store, and all of a sudden, they didn't have a family member to do so. So somebody put the idea of franchising in their mind, and look at what they did. That company's been sold 4 times over now. We were with the original owners from, I think it was about 1989, all the way up to 2006 when they first sold, and they've sold for a handsome profit. So ultimately, that's the type of client that we like to bring on board. We want to become part of your inside team, become your closest advisor. With the Rita's team, we were on their board of advisors for many years, and we taught them so much along with the other team members. But we pride ourselves not on the accounting and tax, because you expect every CPA firm to do that. We pride ourselves on becoming that closest advisor where you pick up the phone, send us a text or an email, and we try to put out the fire of the day. We try to make sure that we help your business grow by taking care of the nuisances that come with the everyday operations, and also to strategic plan into the future, because it's so important to plan and make sure that you have a path for critical success. Colin, you want to start with the beginning of a franchisee organization?
Yes. You also have to have these factors in consideration as a franchisee, a business owner. Business owners still need the same functions as the operations, the structural setup, the supporting team that's going to make your business successful. So we like to surround you with all that expertise, not only from the accounting and auditing perspective, but also from the tax, because tax comes into play immensely, especially when we're selling businesses. We've been through that process, the due diligence process, and making sure you're positioned correctly so that we can minimize your tax liability. And now what we'd like to do is share with you some really important information from an operating perspective when you're starting a new business. What's the first things you need to know? Entity formation. Should I be an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp? What kind of structural operations, internal team do you need to operate your business? We partner with, ideas from franchise brokers, franchise consultants. You may not know exactly which brand works for you yet, so reach out to those resources. They have inventories of different brands and they assess you. They get a better understanding of what's going to fit, what's going to make you successful in your business. And then we get into the basic behind the scenes bookkeeping. We have QuickBooks Pro advisors, bookkeepers to guide you in your setup to manage your books and records, critical part of being a business owner and operator. And then we also assist with your traditional compliance from a tax perspective, managing to make sure that you're compliant and you're filing timely, and making sure that you're growing your business to the next level. And we support that from a day-to-day or as needed. You may have, for example, a question one day, or should I lease this equipment or should I purchase this equipment? That's where we come in to give you that guidance. Every question you have is important. Surround yourself by the people who know the industry, who know the expertise of what you're looking at, and you're investing in yourself. So you got to take it from the beginning to know investing in yourself is critical to be a successful business owner. Maybe Bill could share with us more on the franchisor level, what a business owner should really look at.
Since Colleen was talking about the franchisees and what they need to do, creating that team around you is just as important from the franchisor level. It's so important. And think about it like this. You come up with an idea and you want to try to franchise that idea. What do you need to do? You got to create operating manuals to make sure that idea has a consistent basis, to make sure that all the franchisees that are going to buy into your system are going to do it the same way. You don't walk into a fast food restaurant and get different food. You make sure that it always is the same. So that's called compliance from an operating standpoint of the franchisees. I've seen over my career, the most successful franchisors are the ones that care the most about their franchisees making money. If the franchisees are making money, they become your best salespeople to sell franchises. They are increasing their royalties because they're gung-ho about the business and trying to do better all the time. And that increases your bottom line. So always focus when you're starting out from a franchisor standpoint, how do I make my franchisees, potential franchisees, successful? A lot of the other things that we have to do in the beginning phases of a franchisee or a franchisor is entity setup. From a franchisor perspective, you want to make sure that your franchise entity is very clean and separate from operations. Because at the end of the year, you need to start out first off with a balance sheet audit for the FDD, the franchise disclosure document. And then once a year, you need to have a certified audit, which is also included in the FDD, along with all the wonderful legal risk and obligations that are listed in the franchise disclosure document. So it's so important to have a good law firm and a good accounting firm in conjunction with one another to make sure that you come across as the best type of franchisor for those potential new franchisees. Along those lines, now you have to have an entity setup structure, an organizational structure, a flow chart that works properly. Lastly, you want to make sure that your intellectual property, the IP company, is all separate so that those trademarks and copyrights and anything else of an intangible value is protected. These are all proper setups to make sure when you go to sell down the road that the structure is proper for the potential buyer. On top of that, you may want to have a management company to take care of overall operation ease of payroll and bookkeeping, and even to dividend up the profits of the individual entities up into a parent organization to protect cash flow. We don't say that we do it all. What we do very, very well. So that's our promise to you. And if we promise it, we deliver it. There's no exceptions to that rule in our firm. You expect us to do good accounting work. You expect us to do good tax work. It's all the specialty things that we bring to the table that will enable you to run a good business. We look forward to your success in creating this entity. And the next segment, we'll get involved in operations and growth. Now, once the FTD is done and the franchisee does get the FTD and gives it to their CPA for structure, Colleen will take you onto the way that a franchisee is going to perceive and buy into this concept.
Exactly, Bill. And one of the first things I get from a prospective franchisee or an entrepreneur considering a franchise is, can you take a look at my FDD? Can you take a look at the financial statements for me? Help me interpret them. What does it mean about this? What's a cash flow statement? What's a statement of operations? And then reading all those footnotes and trying to determine, what am I reading here? What's the story I'm reading? And that's the spin that a CPA like us help. We give this prospective buyer and highlights and comments of really, they're looking at a brand, will it be around? Has it been around for a while? Are they successful? Do we see some turns that are happening in their financial statements year over year? Because traditional requirements in the FDD is that you have to have a minimum of 3 years, provided you were in business 3 years or more. And it could give you history and knowledge about how that franchisor is doing from a financial perspective. And then continuing on with the franchisee side, we'll work with that franchisee to say, okay, we think this is a good flow. I think this is a good system, a good brand that would fit. But again, we're not the experts that interpret legal agreements. That's where you support yourself with a legal expert in the franchise industry. And we can't guarantee anything. Every business owner operates differently. You only become successful if you're a good business operator. Following that brand, following their systems will help guide you to become that successful business owner. And in a lot of not even just franchise, in any small business operations, be good operators. Support yourself with the right team, the right managers, the right employees. If you're a brick and mortar with a restaurant, you have to make sure you have the good systems in place to manage the reservation systems, the scheduling, very critical part as well, to manage the demand at any given time.
From a franchisor perspective, the things from a growth perspective is to make sure that you build that team, as Colleen said, internally as well as externally. The internal team needs to be, you're starting out with your sales and development department because you're always out there to try to sell franchises. But you also need to take care of these franchisees and teach them the right way, as Colleen just talked about, where it's so important that you have not compliance people that are the policemen to make sure they're following the right rules and regulations of the franchise organization, but to teach them how to run the business properly, be their consultants, help them, not just with their CPA or their lawyers, help them on a daily basis to learn the business, to understand the margins and how they become more profitable. And then ultimately, from a franchisor perspective, you also need, if you're brick and mortar, you're going to need a real estate team because there's an awful lot of process that goes into getting those units open. And lastly, you need your administration and finance team because it's so important from the franchise perspective. Everything's about the financial part. That's how you grow. Having proper systems, proper protocol is only going to get you to the promised land down the road, which we'll cover in our next segment. Here at St. Clair CPAs, we strive to become your closest advisor, your most trusted advisor. We do this for a lot of different reasons, but one thing that we take for granted is you rely upon us with your finances. We see things that no one else in your entire world sees. And that's so important for us to be able to make the right decisions to help you ultimately make the right decision. Look, the goal of franchisors is simple. You want to grab the brass ring. And when you grab the brass ring, that's a lot of money coming in your pocket. Maybe you start all over again with a brand new concept. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that your concept grows and grows profitably. Make sure that those franchisees that have trusted, put their faith into your concept, become very profitable so that they can sell off and make money as well. But from a franchisor perspective, creating that inner circle, that bond of trusted advisors around you to give you the best advice for your long-term strategy and exit plan is so critical. And that's what we do here at St. Clair CPAs. Kyle, why don't you talk about the franchisee's perspective of an exit strategy?
And same thing as a franchisor, Bill. It's very similar. You still own a business. And eventually someday, your 5, 10, 15-year plan out, you're going to also want to sell your business. And what we'd like to share with you now is to let you know that there's another video out there with Bill St. Clair, a managing partner, sharing about the succession of your business and the retirement and the estate planning stages of when you're a business owner to when you're selling.
So important to make sure that you do things the right way. Not only saves you money, in particular saves you a lot of tax, but it also sets you on the right path for the ultimate goal, to put more family wealth for the ones that you love.